Our question of the day is related to this conversation. The Government Communication Information Systems, or GCIS, hosting a webinar on building a safer internet space for children. It's aimed at educating children, teachers, parents and the public about ways to ensure the safety of children on the net. Let's take it there live.
Media Monitoring Africa. So please tell us a bit about the work that Media Monitoring Africa does.
Thank you so much, Karaza. And again, I'm also very privileged to be afforded this opportunity to be with you today. Wonderful initiative, and thank you to GCIS for allowing such an important discussion to happen. As you said, my name is Paramila. I'm the Public and Media Skills Development Manager at Media Monitoring Africa. And I also lead the Web Rangers program in South Africa. The Web Rangers program is an international digital literacy program designed to really empower young people with critical skills so they engage with the media and the internet responsibly and encourage their peers to do the same. So without getting into the nitty-gritty of the program, which hopefully I'll get a chance to talk about later on, but the young people that form part of our programs are able to create innovative online safety campaigns that will empower their peers with skills and information. They're also able to become online safety ambassadors for their schools and their communities and promote an active digital citizenry, which is really an important concept for us at Media Monitoring Africa and Web Rangers, the idea of being an active digital citizen. And then lastly, they're also able to engage in high-level ICT-related policy discussions and submissions through our Article 12 working group, which is a platform for young people to engage meaningfully in national discussions and processes that will ensure their voices are heard and their participation prioritized. So it's really a peer-to-peer educational initiative that is really driven around ensuring that the young person is well equipped and well informed and are able to play a leading role in the digital world. We work from schools and we equip young people with skills, practical and real life skills about how to use the internet safely, but also we've created a young movement in the last 6 years that we've been operating in South Africa. We've created a movement of young people who have become active digital citizens and are fighting for a better digital world in the South African space, and are fighting every day to ensure that all South Africans and South African children are experiencing a safe online space, and they become responsible digital citizens that use the internet safely and responsibly, but in a way that also pioneers or anchors their voices as young people. And so that's really the Web Rangers program in a nutshell. I'll also share websites or information on that later on, but I think I'll stop there and allow the next speaker to take us forward. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you for the work that you do. It really is so important to be really getting to young people at that young age and really equipping them with some really core skills that they need to survive this new world. I'm going to now allow our guest from the Film and Publication Board, Ms. Maleja Mapoto, who is the Child Protection Officer there, just to introduce herself and just let us know a bit about the work that the Film and Publication Board does.
Good morning, everyone. As I've been introduced, my name is Board. The Film and Publication Board is responsible for classification of content, be it films, movies that are on DVD that come into South Africa that you see in cinema, like I said, what you find on DVDs. And the reason that we are doing the work that we do is to ensure that it comes to the type of content that they consume. As you might well had been amended in 2019, but now it's fully operational. So our scope now goes beyond just films only, but goes also into content such as violence against children that you find on the online space, people who are also distributing content online. Of course, that we have been doing for a while, given that we have your Netflix and your Showmax registered with us to ensure that whatever content they are putting out in the South African market is actually in line with the Film and Publication Board classification guidelines. And as the Film and Publication Board, because of the scope of practice that we have, we also work on child sexual abuse material, which is best known as child pornography in terms of the Act, the Sexual Offences Act. And our role there is to ensure that any person who creates, who distributes, or who is in possession of child sexual abuse material is actually charged according to the laws of the country, and they are criminally liable for their actions. And as I said, now that our scope extends beyond just child sexual abuse material, but violence against children. So those are some of the issues that the Film and Publication deals with. But in order to ensure that there is also people who abide by the rules set out in this country by the Act in terms of content distribution, we have a team of compliance monitors who are actually responsible to ensure that those content distributors are registered with the Film and Publication Board, and that the content that they are actually selling to the public to consume has actually the age ratings and the classification elements, so that people are informed in terms of what they are actually viewing. Classification unit, which is actually responsible for the content out there for the public to consume. It comes through to our range of professions. They sit down, they look at the content, and then they come up with the suitable age ratings, of course guided as well by how children develop, child development stages, to understand that at a particular age what content is suitable, not only for children and also as adults. We also have our own ideas of what we want to watch, or what we want to be exposed to. So also that also plays part in terms of regulating what it comes to sexual content, to say which one can be viewed publicly, which one can be sent to cinema and everyone can watch and it has some sexual connotation to it, and which one is actually for private use. So that is what the Film and Publication Board is all about. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you for the work that you have been doing for years as well in protecting our children with the content that they consume. Today's conversation is really going to be around looking at the digital landscape in South Africa and really just getting an overview of where we're at. We're going to start taking a look at also the training initiatives that are available, and to start exploring the key role players within the sector and within public education. I definitely have a couple of questions for the ladies who are on the panel. But we certainly do welcome any questions from anyone who is tuning in, so that we can really make this a conversation. And even for my panelists, if I've asked one of you a question, but you would like to add on to it, please do feel free, so that we can share ideas really about a topic as important as this one. So I'm going to go over to Pagamila at Media Monitoring Africa for us to start with maybe just a bit of an overview. When we speak about South Africa's online landscape, what are we speaking about? I mean, when we look at online media consumption, what are South Africans spending their time online doing, and how does some of the research that you've got add onto those insights?
Thank you so much, Karaza. So it's really important to understand what young people are doing online, and not necessarily the content. I mean, it's one aspect, and we'll talk about it, I think, later on when we talk about building communities and building and empowering our parents and teachers and communities at large in how to better understand young people online, how to better protect young people online. But I think that the trends that we, through our experiences with Web Rangers, are seeing is that we know that children, despite the enormous challenges of access and digital literacy, are online. They are online. The study by UNICEF, the South African Kids Online Study by UNICEF, South Africa, together with the Department of Social Development, reveals that 70% of children surveyed on the internet have used the internet without parental consent, and only 41% of the children that were surveyed in the research stated that they have some sort of information about online safety. So we know that our children are online. They are using the internet, whether it's at home, it's at school, their friends, at the internet cafe, at the library, they are using the internet. But what we also know that not a lot of them have the skills and the tools and the resources to be safe online. And then which brings me to my next point is around children in South Africa are not in a position to fully take advantage of their digital rights or even become active digital citizens. That concept that I used at the beginning. At Web Rangers, it's so important that our young people or the young people of South Africa begin to become active digital citizens. And this is now needing the skills and the resources and the platform to be able to participate in the digital world, but also in a way that enhances our democracy as a country. And so when you look at young people, although they're using the internet, but they're not using it wisely and responsibly and in a way that enhances our democracy or puts them in a leading platform where they can be able to participate in high-level discussions and decision-making processes. So they don't have those skills. Point number 3 around what we see in the online space is that children face huge risks online, and the Film and Publication Board, which is one of our partners, can attest to this. The lack of skills. We've got many great initiatives like Web Rangers, but the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, has shown us that digital literacy skill is no longer a nice to have, but it's really a must for every South African child. And the only way to achieve this would be through the integration of the schooling. Integration of digital and media literacy skills in the schooling curricula, which is something I'll also talk about later on, because we really firmly believe that in order for us to really overcome this challenge of lack of digital skills among our children is to integrate it into the schooling curriculum and have it as a must-have in every school so that every child in South Africa can have access to digital and media literacy. And then the last point is South Africa has also very good policies and legislations that are aimed at protecting children. Again, the Film and Publication can speak on this because they have some really cool policies and legislation. But children and caregivers don't know about these, and so it becomes a challenge for them to be able to make it real in their everyday lives if they don't know about them. So that's really the kind of experiences that we've encountered with our young people. They want to use the internet. There's interest, but there's a really lack of skills and a lack of change of mindset. So when we talk about active digital citizens, we're talking about a change of mindset. And not necessarily. So yes, so we want to overcome the issues of cyberbullying, of sexting, and all those things. But it requires that the young person has a change of mindset, understands that the internet can be used to be able to advance their passions and hone their talents. But they can't do that if they don't understand or they don't have a change of mindset to understand what it means to be an active digital citizen in the country and how can they use the internet to become an influencer, to really present or create awareness around big issues that they are passionate about. And so really what we're seeing now in South Africa is that young people are using the internet, but they're not using it in a meaningful way. And we want to start to get them to use it in a meaningful way.
I love some of your throw forwards, to the stuff that we're going to speak about, because for me, we start to really look at what can be done. I think a lot of the time parents maybe do feel a bit powerless around it, but what can be done about it is really what's important. Going to the Film and Publication Board, just maybe going on from what Phakamile just spoken about, what are some of those dangers that young people are facing online from the work that you do? What are the things that parents should be a lot more aware of, when they think about content that their young people are consuming? Hello, Ms. Maheshama.
Thing that I believe that is what we actually don't get a chance as the South African community to look at as the issue of child sexual abuse material. Well, as I mentioned earlier. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please do continue, ma'am.
Oh yes, as I was saying, one of the important issues, one of the most, I think, biggest challenges that we are facing as a country, actually worldwide, is child sexual abuse material, which is known as child pornography. And the Film and Publication Board is very passionate about fighting this issue. And what we find is that there is a lot of distribution of such content. And through our outreach programs, we find that there are a lot of children, especially teenagers, who are creating child sexual abuse material without being aware of that. But also most importantly and significant is that we have parents, caregivers, and other members of the public who are just distributing child sexual abuse material without being aware of the danger that really is. Because we have to understand that when we speak about child sexual abuse material, we're actually talking about evidence of rape of a child. And in the South African community, it has become a norm for any person to be on Twitter or to be on Facebook and feel comfortable enough to share such content. So as the Film and Publication Board, our plight is always to say to the community that be aware that child sexual abuse material is evidence of abuse of a child, and that sharing it, reposting it on social media pages, being in possession of such content is actually a criminal offense that obviously a person will be dealt with according to the laws of the country. And also another thing that has actually popped up, well, due to social media, is there's tendency of communities to actually share content that shows violence against children. So you will see that there will be videos that are trending of a child being in a fight with another child, a child being beaten up. We have seen that in the past. Children fighting with each other, and we just share it because it has become a norm, right? Sharing everything has to be online. But at the same time, we are not taking into consideration what the impact of sharing such content is on the children, and also not just the children, but also family members of those children. So it's very important that people become mindful that although we live in a world where social media allows us to share everything, we need to also sometimes put ourselves in the shoes of those who are actually affected or impacted or even part of that content, to say, if it was my child, how would I feel if someone would share such pictures of my child being sexually abused, of my child being, violently abused? Is it something that I can be fine with? And being able to be empathetic as a country, something that we really need to practice, but also as well being mindful of the laws of the country and realizing that what I am doing can actually put me in real danger. And I am very happy that we have some social media houses that we work with, like your Meta and your Twitter, who are able to say, when such content is out there, we need to put it down. But I feel that that is not enough. We need to make sure that as a country, such acts are actually punished by law, because I feel that is also one of the ways that people can understand the seriousness of the offenses that they are also putting out there. But also at the same time, going back to the issue of child sexual abuse material, there is a need for us as a country to actually pay attention to this issue, because it's something that no one ever really wants to speak about. When you go out to communities and you see parents, and you see, sometimes you go to schools, you see educators, you can see the look on their faces when you bring up this topic, but in actuality, it is our reality, and we need to be able to tackle it together as a society, because the Film and Publication Board cannot do this on its own. We need our members of the public to say, what, enough is enough. If someone shares with me this type of content, I'm going to make sure that I report it, because in the midst of all of that, there is a child involved, and we have a responsibility to ensure that our children are protected from harmful content, to ensure that our children are not used to create, child sexual abuse material, or, should they be exposed to it as well.
So, I think while I still have you, Malishama, public participation is important in the work that you do as the Film and Publication Board. I wanted to know, how does that? How do we as the public contribute to the work that you do? So if I'm sitting as a member of a community, or member of society, and I want to contribute, how do I do that? Because I do know that public participation is a very important aspect of the work that you do.
I think one of the most important things that I want people to do, the most pivotal thing, is for the public, when they come across content that includes child sexual abuse material or violence against children, that they then call their film and publication board immediately to actually report such content. And we always say that you don't have to give us your details. You can just be anonymous and just call in and say, I've seen such content on this particular website or on this particular page and I want to report it. Can you please take a look at it? Because for us, that's what's most important. So the public is encouraged to come through, call the film and publication board when they come across such content. Even if you are not sure and you have a hunch about something, please be in touch with us. And also, we work with communities, we work with the public, we go out there, we do outreach, but it's very difficult for us to reach each and every corner of South Africa because we don't actually know where some of the issues, underlying issues may be. But as a member of the public, if you somehow feel like your community can actually benefit from a workshop or from an engagement with the Film and Publication Board, and you want to understand more about the work that we do, please also do not hesitate to call the Film and Publication Board and say, can you arrange something for our community? And we will be there, because we understand that not every community has the internet coverage that other communities have. Not every community has people who have access to the internet on a daily, but that doesn't mean that there is not one person who is an offender there who's taking advantage of children. And children also don't even know where to go. They don't have access to cell phones where they can actually go on Google and say, what can I do to get help? They are stuck. But inviting us to your community so that we can share our knowledge, so that you as a community member know the steps that you need to take in order to ensure that your children are protected as they engage online. That is also something that we look forward to doing. Because also, if I may add, when I say that, children are safe online, sometimes as parents, obviously we buy children our cell phones, and we allow them to be on the online space. But as parents ourselves, we don't even understand how the device even works. Your child goes on Google, maybe they want to Google something about maybe a cat or a pussy, or something comes up that is sexual in nature, and we all know that children are curious beings and they end up just clicking on that and being exposed. Sometimes social media is used by offenders to lure their victims in through the process of grooming, where they take their time befriending children, making them comfortable enough so that when it's time for them to strike, they do so knowing that they have gained their children's trust. So those are some of the issues that a lot of children have to deal with, and they are unable to speak up because of the embarrassment that comes with the fact of knowing that I actually went online and I had a chat with someone that I have never met in my entire life, and now this person is abusing me and I don't know how to speak out because people look at me as if I am stupid. I made a very reckless mistake and I cannot bear the brunt of it. So a lot of children stay in that cycle of grooming because of the embarrassment that may come out with actually speaking out to the parents or to anyone that they trust to say, this is the situation that I am in.
You touch on such an important part, and I think that's just our communication with our children. As parents, are we opening up those lines of communication? Are we speaking to them about it? When we buy them the devices, the phones, and the things that they need, are we also educating ourselves on how these things work so that we can be able to protect our children from the dangers that are out there? I also want to read a comment coming through from Polisikwala, and it says that being a good digital citizen starts with you and your community, your friends and your family. And I think really about today, it's really been that this is a collective challenge that we are needing to solve together, and I'm really interested in programs. I know Media Monitoring Africa, one of your key focus is to empower children in the media, and I'm really keen to hear on some of the programs that you run. You spoke a bit about web ranges, but I think this is also where we can really speak about how the parents can get involved. What are the things that they can do, whether getting involved in your programs or just things that they can do at home, really, to be able to assist in empowering our children and not necessarily scaring them away from being online, but just being able to equip them with the information that they need to be able to engage safely online.
Thank you so much, Karaza. Again, so we have quite a range of opportunities for our parents and young and teachers to come through and support. But we also want to make sure that we always place the young person at the center of whatever we're doing. And so the role of the parents and the teachers, is always to support the young person, and always to make sure that the young person. Sorry, we got cut off there. I'm sorry.
Sure, I have you back now.
So again, we always want to, our initiatives that are around children are really focused on making sure that the young person has a holistic approach to digital media literacy, that they understand and know how to become an active digital citizens. They have the tools, but also have the guidance from teachers and parents. So for one, with teachers, and that's, I'll go back to the sentence or the theme around integrating digital and media literacy skills into the classroom, because children spend a lot of time in the classroom. They spend a lot of time with their teachers and their friends, and that's really the great opportunity that we have with the schooling system, that it can allow those learning processes to happen. For example, in your life orientation, in the thematic areas that are covered is around bullying. And so it would be so easy for the teacher to then, with the content around cyberbullying, just add that concept around cyberbullying, to say, guys, there's bullying, it's quite serious, but there's also this other element of cyberbullying that you guys might not be aware of. It's quite a reality for young people. And so it really is, it allows for a seamless integration of some of the really important topics and things that or concepts that you and I deal with on an everyday basis when we do our curriculum with our digital literacy, that can be integrated into the classroom and allow for the teacher to be able to gain knowledge and experience, and also share with the learners. We also have different toolkits and resources. We have the Real 411 platform, which is an important platform that young people and teachers can equip themselves, or we can train them on how to report mis and disinformation. We know with mis and disinformation, it's become a real thing, and especially for children in South Africa. Media is facing a crisis of credibility due to disinformation and misinformation. The spread of disinformation and misinformation is being exacerbated by the corona pandemic, and we've seen that. And so the problems that misinformation is really putting in, especially with our young people, is that it spreads fast and it's misleading information that may cause harm. It fuels panic and fear, and causes us to act in a really violent and really illogical manner, all right? And also undermines our democratic processes, as misinformation causes the public to kind of divert their attention from issues of national importance to focus on content that really fuels uncertainty and instability. And so in that regard, we've done a lot of work with creating tools and resources. And one of the powerful things we've done this year is to develop a comic book, a really cool comic book for young people that really targets misinformation, but also explains to them how it unfolds in their everyday lives and how they can fight it using the Real 411 platform. And I'll share the links to that comic book for anyone who's interested here, who's a parent and also a teacher. And then we also have parental teacher workshops that we also run in schools. So what you do is that you email us, and then
A very important conversation about our children's presence on the net, the different factors that come out of this security, cyberbullying, communication with our children. GCIS, of course, hosting that conversation.